Hey everyone, how are you doing? This is Jason Lawrence here. I am a real estate agent in southeastern Wisconsin, and I specialize in vacant land. People that are looking to buy vacant land, large pieces of vacant land, lots to build on. People that are looking to sell pieces of vacant land and maybe chop the land up into different parcels to maximize the profit that you can get when selling land. So anything that has to do with land, I'm your guy. I'm going to put my contact information in the description of the video. If you reach out to me, I can send you this lot checklist that I put together. And I'm going to just kind of give a brief rundown of some of the things that you should be looking for when you're purchasing a lot or looking at a piece of land. Now, if you're in my area, you can use me to do this, and I can ensure that everything gets investigated and you're not buying something that you don't know about. You're aware of all of the scenarios that come along with the property, and that's the best way to do it. You want to make sure when you're writing an offer on a piece of vacant land that there are contingencies in place that are going to protect you against certain things and allow you time to investigate certain things. So I'm going to just kind of breeze through the checklist I got here. It's many pages, so I won't go over everything in detail here. But one of the first things that you are going to do when you're looking at a piece of land, and this I guess is more specific to if you're looking for a lot to purchase to build a home. The eye test is the first thing. So when you're looking at a piece of land, you can look and see, okay, is the land sloped? Is it level? Those are a couple of things that you can look for right off the bat. Sometimes there will be markers or stakes in the property, so then you can kind of see what the parameters of the property are. But it's important to know what the grade of the lot is before you purchase a home. If you're looking to, or purchase a lot, if you're looking to build a home with a walkout basement or a daylight basement, you're going to have a lot that's got a lot more slope than this. This is pretty flat here, and it doesn't really work well to take a house and put it on a piece of property that's not sloped and try and get a walkout or a daylight basement. It typically doesn't work. And then sometimes you may be looking for a flat lot. You don't want the daylight or walkout exposure. And sometimes things can be a little bit deceiving when you're just looking at it. So you may look at a piece of property, to you it may look flat, but in actuality, maybe there's 3 feet of drop from the front of the lot to the back of the lot. Once you put your house on the lot and the foundation's sticking up out of the ground somewhat, now you've got about 4 feet of difference between the front of the house and the back of the house, which is a perfect recipe for a daylight exposure lot. So I've had examples in the past where people have come in. I'm a home builder as well. People have come in and they want us to build a home for them. They already own the lot, and I'll get information on the lot and I'll determine, okay, your lot is actually, per the grading plan that was put together for this neighborhood, your lot is actually set up for a daylight exposure lot, which does add quite a bit of cost to the build. You've got a deck that's going to be on the back of the home. You've got the exposure windows. You've got additional siding, additional framing. You're finishing the inside of that half or full basement wall. So there's definitely quite a bit of expense that comes along with an exposure lot. And if you're not wanting to pay that, or if that's not in the budget, that's something you need to know about ahead of time. So the property can either slope from right to left. If it's sloping from right to left, that means that you could get some exposure on one side of the house or the other, and potentially still keep a flat backyard where you could walk out of your dinette or patio doors onto the grade and then just have the walkout or daylight portion on one side of the house or the other. Or sometimes a lot may slope from front to back, or even from back to front. These are all things that are going to come into play with your build cost and how you design your home. So it's just good to know. And a lot of times, if you're buying a lot in a subdivision, most times there's a grading plan that's been approved for that subdivision. So when the developer developed the neighborhood and developed the lots, they had to submit a grading plan to the engineer for whatever municipality that they're in, and they had to get that approved. And the grading plan will show what the top of the foundation wall height is supposed to be, what the finished yard grade is, and so it's going to tell you if the lot is flat or if it needs to be designed for a walkout or a daylight exposure. Is the lot wooded? This is obviously something that's very easy to see with the eye. So if you've got a wooded lot, and maybe it's very heavily wooded, you're going to obviously need to account for some tree removal. And it also makes things kind of difficult. When you're just standing at the street and you're looking at a wooded lot and it's just all woods in front of you, you can't really see the terrain. You can't really see where you're going to be building the home. So there's going to need to be some further investigation that is going to take place when you're building on a very wooded lot. A lot of times, a very wooded lot is susceptible to having wetlands on the lot, and you could also have soil issues as well. You know, once you get all of the trees removed in the area that you're going to be building the house, the soil may not be very good because you had tree roots everywhere, and so you may have to dig down deeper to get to compactable soil. So something to just be aware with when it comes to a wooded lot. Also, a wooded lot could be a protected wooded lot where, yes, you can build a home there, but you can only cut down trees in the area where the home's going to go, and you can only cut down trees in the area where the driveway is going to go. So that's something that you would want to know before you're purchasing the lot, because you may want to do all kinds of stuff on your property. You may want to keep some trees, but overall you might just want open space. You might want to do a little bit of clear cutting in there, and you can't do that if the property is in a certain area, environmentally protected area. And this is something that I'll cover in the next little segment of the video here. You can look on your county GIS map to determine if the property that you're looking at is in a potential area like this, or if there are floodplain, if it's in a floodplain, if there's wetlands on the property. The GIS map is a great tool. What do the homes on each side of the lot look like? You know, maybe you're looking at a property, you know, the grade elevation is here. There's a house built next door that's sitting up, you know, 8 feet higher than the grade here, and maybe there's another house over here that's sitting way up higher than what the current grade of the lot is. That means that most likely the lot is going to need to get filled. You're going to need a lot of fill there, and there's going to be some big expenses that can come along with that. If the ground elevation's here and both houses on either side are sitting 8 feet above you, that means you're really not even going to dig much of a basement if you're in our area here and you're going to be doing a basement. The footings can get put right on top of the ground. You're going to have basement walls sticking up 8 feet out of the ground, but then you need to bring in dirt to fill that area in. So once you've got your finished floor height way up here and you've filled it all in with dirt, now you've got some serious pitch and slope. You're not going to have a very level yard, so there's just something else to look for and be aware of there. Do you see any low or wet areas? You know, if you're looking at a property that is, you know, mainly open and field, but there's an area where there's, you know, taller grass and it's a little bit lower and it's wet, that could be a wetland. It's very hard to determine what areas are all wetlands. Wetlands are classified with the type of plant growth or grass growth or vegetation that is coming up on the property. So not all wetlands are going to be, you know, marsh and cattail like what you would typically think of with wetlands. You think of a swamp, or you think of the long cattails and reeds with water being in there. That's not necessarily the case. So say you're looking at a property and you don't see any of that, and you're like, okay, I'm free and clear, everything's good to go here. And then once it comes time to build a home on it and further survey work gets done, and you go into the county to get a building permit, or the municipality to get a building permit, and now they tell you you know, you're on a floodplain or you've got wetlands here, so you can't build here, and now that limits what you can do with the property. So that's something that you would need to know about ahead of time. As I'm doing this video, I'm determining that I'm definitely not going to be able to get through my whole little packet here. So I'm going to break up this lot checklist into a couple of different videos. We'll make this a little series here. The next thing and final thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is the GIS map. The GIS map is something that I use almost on a daily basis. Between people that are coming in that want to build with us that own lots, I need to be able to get a bird's eye view of the property. I need to know where it is. I need to know the terrain. I need to know if there's wetlands on it. I need to know an awful lot about the property so that I can give an accurate build price to build on the property. And that's actually one of the reasons that I have all of the experience that I do when it comes to vacant land and knowing what to look for and check for, because over the years, we've encountered and uncovered it all. And a lot of times you don't know about certain things with the property or certain detriments or huge additional expenses that you're going to occur until you start building. Unless you're working with somebody like me that can point this stuff out before you get started or before you buy the property. Maybe we decide that, you know, there's going to be an additional $50,000 of site work needed here, you know, bringing in the sewer and the water from where it's at, bringing the gas and electric from where it's at, filling the lot, things like that. That may end up telling you, okay, you know what, I don't want to do this on this lot. I'm not gonna pay $100,000 for the lot and then have to stick another 50 into approving it. That may blow your budget. So it's very important to know about these things before you're purchasing the property. But the GIS map is such a great tool. No matter where you live, you could type in, say you live in, Racine County. I sometimes forget that I'm doing videos that are specific to being local to my area. So Racine County, that's where I'm standing right now. So if I've got a property that I'm looking at in Racine County, I see what I see here. It's definitely important to go out and look at the property and walk the property, but I can't tell, especially with there being snow on the ground, if there's wetlands, or sometimes it's hard to tell what type of slope you have when it's all snowy. So what I do is I type in Racine County map book, or you could type in, you know, Kenosha County GIS map, or Walworth County GIS map, or whatever, Milwaukee County GIS map. Anywhere that you live is going to have something like this. What you can then do once you have that map opened up is you can search for a parcel. So if a particular piece of property is for sale and it's listed on the MLS, there's going to be a parcel ID number somewhere on the listing. And you're able to take that parcel ID number and you can copy and paste it into the search bar, or just type it in and search it. Or maybe there's an address for a property, or maybe there's not. Maybe you just see a for sale by owner piece on the corner of Highway H and 4 Mile Road, and you don't know what the parcel ID number is there, but you can, either way, you can find the specific property on the map. You can click on it, you can see who owns it, you can see if they're up to date on taxes, you can get a lot of information. Maybe there's a piece of land, and I've done this many times, that you're interested in buying. You would love this 100-acre farm plot here, but it's not for sale. Well, how can we attempt to purchase something like that? We can find out who owns it. We can send them a letter. We can call them. If we've got the name of the owner, we can approach them about selling the property. But anyways, what I'll do is I'll enter in the parcel ID number or the address for the property, and I'll turn on different filters. So I can look at the property just as a normal map type view, and then I can click the satellite or the bird's eye view. It's actually called a spring aerial. So every couple of years they do aerial photography of the county, and that's what is used for these map books. So I can turn on that filter and I can see exactly, maybe I haven't been out to look at the property yet. I can see, wow, this property's got a lot of woods on it, or there's a little creek that runs through it, or it's on a super busy road, or there's power lines that run on the property. I can see all that from kind of like the Google Earth type view. The other filter that I'm going to turn on is wetlands. So if I turn on the wetland filter and I get a big blue splotch across the property, I know that there's wetlands on the property. Now that may be okay if you're purchasing a larger property, 5 acres for example. You don't need the whole 5 acres to do what you got to do there. You want to put up a house, a pole shed, maybe a little pasture land for some animals, but it's probably going to be okay to have those wetlands there depending on where they are. If it's, taking up the whole front of the property, then it may not really work out so well. But if it's on the back of the property or the side of the property or somewhere kind of out of the way, it's not as big of a deal. I'm going to also click the floodplain filter to see if the property is in a floodplain. If it's wooded, or maybe even if it's not, I'll click the environmental corridor filter so I can see if this property is in an environmental corridor. There's also a topography filter, which is very, very helpful. As we were talking about in the beginning of the video, having slope with the land is something that's not always easy to see with the human eye. But if I click the topography filter on the GIS map, I can look and see the terrain of the property. Pause. The last cool feature I'll cover with the GIS map is it has a measuring tool. So if you don't know what size a property it is, or you don't know if the house you want to build is going to fit on the property, you can click on the little measuring tool and you can measure the width of the property, the depth of the property. You could take and you could say, I'm going to be building a house, 2,100 square foot ranch. It's going to be, 70 by 60. I can draw a little 70 by 60 rectangle, see how it looks on the property. Or maybe there's an area of wetlands or woods on the front of the property, and we know that in order to build on this property, we're going to have to set ourselves behind that. I can measure from the street back to where the house is going to be and know how many feet of driveway is going to be required. I mean, that's a huge thing. The setback of your home off of the street determines a lot of the cost. Gas and electric cost, sewer and water connection cost, if there is sewer and water, your driveway cost. I mean, those are huge, huge expenses. So you want to know if you're buying a property, but you have to build 450 feet off the street, you're going to need to know that you're going to probably be spending an extra, $50,000 to $100,000 on site improvements because of how far off of the street that you are. So that's just something that's helpful to be able to see there as well. That's going to do it for this video. I'm going to, like I said, keep moving through this packet that I've got here. And if you reach out to me, I can email this to you. I could also send you everything that's for sale out there in our area. Or if you are looking to sell a property and you're wanting to know what you could sell your property for. Maybe you've got a 35 acre piece of land and you want to know, okay, do I have to sell this as all one piece? Or could I divide this up and sell it as 4 properties and maximize the amount of money that I can make? That's something that I can look at, and I would start with looking at it on the county map book to get my measurements and figure out how much road frontage we have and if there's wetlands and how many different parcels we could actually divide the property into. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be attending a town planning commission meeting tonight in a certain area in Racine County. I've got somebody that I'm working with. They've got 25 acres, and I went on the county map and I kind of drew up how this property could be divided. So now I'm in front of the planning commission, and they'll hopefully be able to tell me, okay, yeah, we like what you're thinking about doing here. You can move ahead with doing that. And those are things I'll cover in a future video, but otherwise you would just be selling that property as is. And maybe, 25 acres, okay, maybe you're going to get $400 for it, or 3 something. But if you split it into 3 different properties, you're going to get over $600 for it, or close to $600. So you can make potentially $200,000 more on the same piece of property by just doing a little bit of work. And there's a little bit of money that you would have to invest into doing that, but it definitely makes sense. Well, that's all I got for this one. Again, I'll put my info in the details of the video so you can reach out to me. Take care. If you like what I'm talking about here, please subscribe or share this with anybody that you know that has land or is looking for land. I would really appreciate that. Take care and God bless.